having the visa does not guarantee entry. People have actually been, granted their visa, and then they get to a point of entry, and for one reason or the other, people have been turned back to their home country. Hello beautiful people, how are you all doing? I hope everyone's doing great. If you're just coming around for the first time, my name is Esther and it's nice to meet you. So I was trying to prioritize what I wanted to post in terms of like, well, I guess what's handy at this moment and stuff like that. And I thought that it would be really important to talk about because right now people are going to the US and everything, so I thought it would be really important to talk about what you're going to encounter when you're going to the United States as a student. Like the whole idea with the immigration stuff, it's not like difficult, it's just something that you want to be aware of and you want to be prepared for before you encounter that situation. So we're going to start with explaining what exactly the point of entry is. So the point of entry is basically the first US border control point that you encounter when you arrive at the United States. So for example, if your school is in New York and you arrive to LA first and then you have like a connecting flight, your first point of entry would be the one in LA, and that's where you have these experiences that I'm going to talk about. It's pretty much straightforward. It's just like answering basic questions. You might be lucky, the person could just be like, oh, what are you going to do? And then you say what you're going to do, like I'm going to school and stuff like that, then you're good. And another person might just be more interrogative, and so it just depends on what you encounter, and it's very good to be prepared beforehand. So yeah, one thing that people don't know is that having the visa does not guarantee entry. People have actually been granted their visa, and then they get to a point of entry, and for one reason or the other, people have been turned back to their home country because they weren't allowed through the point of entry. So you need to know the kind of questions that you could be asked at the point of entry. Usually these questions are very similar to visa interview questions, except they're not usually as detailed. It's just more of like on the surface. For example, what are you going to do in the United States? What are you going to study? What university are you going? When do your classes start? They could also ask you questions like, oh, where's your financial document? Where are you going to stay in the United States? Things like that, depending on what the person thinks is best to ask you. You've already prepared for your US visa interview and you already know answers to these things, but you just want to be aware that they could still ask you. Another thing that people should know about the point of entry is that you could have two types of inspections. So the general inspection is just the primary inspection, which is very straightforward, straight to the point, just go through. And then the secondary inspection is the one where maybe the person is not really satisfied with your answers, or maybe they just think that they just want to ask you more and they don't want to keep people on the spot or things like that. They just want to keep it going. Then they might take you into like a private area and be like, okay, can I see your documents or things like that. And do not fret if you ever find yourself in this situation, because fretting is not going to help. It might actually cause you to lose focus and like not know the right things to say. So knowing now that that could happen helps you to know how to handle the situation when it comes up. Just know that it's not like you did something wrong, it's just they need to ask more questions. Also, you need to remember there's certain documents that you need to have handy and not put like in your checked luggage or anything like that, because you can find yourself in a difficult situation. You don't want to keep important documents that you need handy in your checked in luggage. So what you need to do is to have the following documents as part of your carry-on luggage. So you need to have your passport for sure. I mean, everybody knows that you can't go through without your passport anyways. You need to have your passport that has the visa, because sometimes people have like multiple passports that like expired, and so you want to carry those with you for sure. You might not ever need to present it, but just take it with you just in case. Then make sure you have your signed I-20. So basically your I-20 actually took you to your visa interview. Make sure you have that. Make sure you have your admission letter from the school, the one that they sent to you, and if you used like a printed copy from the internet, you can also use that as well. Then have your proof of service payment, have your proof of financial support. If you're on a scholarship and all of that, then you should probably state that in like your admission letter or scholarship letter, and also on your I-20. So whatever is going to support or prove that you're under a scholarship, make sure you take that. Take your transcript, all the transcripts that you used for your visa application, for your admission, your high school certificate, your undergraduate degree if you're a master's or like postgraduate person. You need to take stuff that shows where you're going to be staying in the United States. So if you're going to be staying like on campus, in the school dorm, you have to take something that proves that your accommodation is covered that way. Or if you're going to be staying off campus, like an off-campus apartment, you need to have proof of rental agreement, something like that, to show that you're going to stay at a particular location. And also you should have your DSO information, so their phone number, their email, and their address. All those documents that I listed are documents that could come in handy whenever you're having your interrogation with the point of entry officer. Another advice that I would give for your entry into the United States is that if you're booking a connecting flight, make sure to have enough time for your layover. If you're having, like, you know, different flights within the United States, you want to make sure that you have enough time, because you never know how long the interrogation will take. And so you want to avoid a situation where now you're going to miss your flight and now everything is just so complicated and you're stressed when you just arrived in a new country. So make sure to have enough time when you're booking your flight. One question that people usually have about entering the United States is, what do I do in a situation where I'm going through a different state from my school state and I'm like spending a certain number of days there before going to school? How do I explain that? So like the situation I gave earlier, besides just having like a normal layover where maybe the airline just kind of connected your flight, but you are intentionally like booking 2 different flights. Maybe you want to visit family in one state and then go to your school state to start school. How do you explain that? Well, I don't think it will be too difficult as long as you're within the time period like of being allowed to travel. I think it's like 30 days to like the official program start date. So yeah, if you're within that window of time that you can travel to the United States, I don't think that should be a problem, because many people have done that. I know people who have done that too, where they go and then they visit family for like a few days before classes start, and they're fine. When they get to the point of entry, they just explain to the officer like, oh, I have a relative or I have relatives in this state and that's why I'm entering through here. But yeah, it's not a far-fetched situation. It's something that's really understandable. And of course, you should have your other flight ticket for traveling to your school state, so make sure that you have that handy as well so that you can show them. I can't think of any other question or any other like thing that people might be wondering regarding the point of entry. But if you have any questions related to that, feel free as always to comment in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer your questions as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.